If the reason you're running Google Ads is because you want people to call you, fill out your contact form, or book a meeting, you need to watch this video because you have a unique challenge that our friends in e-commerce don't face. If someone is just going to buy a pair of pants online, they can click on the ad, go buy the pants, pay their money, and it's done. But if someone becomes a lead for you online, and then you need to do something offline to turn them into a customer, like book a sales call, have a free consultation, follow up, then you are a lead generation business and you need offline conversion tracking. That's the fancy name we use for the system that's going to help you understand where your leads come from, which ones are quality leads that become customers, and which ones are spam leads that you don't want anymore, and what these leads and customers are actually worth to your business. Let's dig in. Whether you're a business owner, a freelancer, or an agency, you know that one of the most important first steps in getting started with Google Ads is setting up conversion tracking, letting Google know when something valuable happens on your website. That way, rather than just bidding for clicks, you're bidding for actual conversions, valuable actions, letting Google know if all those ad clickers are actually doing the thing you want them to do. And basic conversion tracking is table stakes. What we want to do is take it to the next level. Instead of telling Google every single time someone fills out your contact form, every single time someone calls you, every single time someone interacts with your on-site chatbot, what if we only told Google when a qualified lead reaches out to you? Let's say 2 people fill out your contact form. One of them fills out your contact form with details, and when you follow up with them, it turns out they're in the right location looking for what you offer: plumbing, legal services, education, dentistry, plastic surgery, landscaping, locksmith. You get the idea. Another lead that comes through fills out your contact form, but when you try to respond, the email bounces. It's not a real email address. With traditional conversion tracking, you would be telling Google that both of these things are equal. But I think we all know, to use the words of Sesame Street, that one of these things is not like the other. So in this next step, you tell Google that this lead happened because you, as a human or someone on your team, has qualified this lead, but you do not tell Google that this lead happened. In fact, Google doesn't even see it. All it sees is this one, the qualified lead. Well, that sounds great, Jill, but how do we do that? I'm so glad you asked. There's a whole industry around this called lead tracking software. And these are different tools you can subscribe to that let you track all different kinds of leads coming into your business, share that data back to Google and onto the rest of your business as well. You may have noticed that this video is sponsored by WhatConverts, because that's the lead tracking and reporting software that I recommend for my Google Ads coaching clients. For full disclosure, I wanted to do a video about this topic. I approached WhatConverts about sponsoring because I've seen my clients get great results with their software, and they agreed, so it's a win for everyone. Setting up lead tracking software like WhatConverts is really simple. You connect your Google Ads account, you let it know if you want forms, calls, etc. And then when leads come through, rather than right away marking a conversion in Google Ads, instead you either mark it as quotable or not. You can set it so that once you mark a lead as quotable in WhatConverts, then it tells Google a conversion happened. So if a lead is spam, or maybe not spam, but just low quality or not the right fit for your business, you don't mark it as quotable. Google never learns about it, which means that your bidding algorithms, your targeting algorithms are not learning to get you more of something that wasn't valuable. And on the flip side, those leads that are quotable, that is now the only data that's going to power your bidding, targeting, etc., so that your unique Google Ads campaign algorithms get smarter and smarter to drive better and better results for you. Now, many of the businesses that I see as a Google Ads coach are trying to get to this stage we just talked about: quality versus not quality leads. And you can just stop there, but especially if you're a freelancer or agency offering services, you are going to want to take things to the next level. Because even once we have a quotable lead, a high quality lead, still not all quality leads are created equal. For example, let's say you're working with a cleaning business. A residential lead could come in, which is one individual looking for someone to clean their home. A commercial lead could come in, which is a business looking for cleaning services. And then a large commercial lead could come in of a business with 20 locations that's looking for a new provider. While all of these are valuable, quotable leads, we'd like to let Google know that the commercial ones are worth a lot more money than the residential ones, and even that a large commercial one is worth more than a small commercial one. You may have heard Googlers talk about value-based bidding before, and this is exactly what they mean. By feeding different conversion values back to Google Ads, you can help your Google Ads algorithms determine who's likely to be the next most valuable user. How do you do this exactly? By using a proxy value, predicted value, or purchase value. A proxy value means some kind of number that's not a real life number, but it's just something that's going to help your value-based bidding work. Something called a lead scoring system. For example, maybe you're a lawyer and you know that you tend to convert really well on probate cases, that most of those leads turn into clients, but you don't tend to convert so well on custody cases. Maybe most of those don't turn into clients. You could assign a score like 5 to probate cases and maybe a score like 3 to divorce or custody cases. Then you set your Google Ads campaign to use value-based bidding, either max conversion value or target ROAS, and it'll discern between those two types of leads based on how valuable you project them being to your business. That's an example of using a proxy value. What about a predicted value? If you upgrade your WhatConverts plan, you can use AI to analyze the content and sentiment of your lead, whether it's a phone call, form fill, etc. And based on that, you can set rules to predict how much something's likely to be worth or how valuable it'll be to your business. You can also build your own predictive scoring model and then feed those values into WhatConverts to then feed to Google Ads. So that's predictive values. Third is purchase values. Let's say that you offer 3 different services. Once a lead becomes qualified, you can mark down which service they're more interested in and the correct associated value. Even though they haven't actually become a customer yet, you know how much they're going to actually be worth if they purchase. And then of course, once they become a closed one, a customer, a purchase, a client, whatever you call it in your business, you can update that in WhatConverts to go update Google Ads as well. That means that instead of just tracking a basic conversion, and instead of just tracking a quality lead, you can track the value of leads or even the final customer value. And of course, if you're only telling Google Ads who the actual customers are and exactly what they're worth for your business, that's going to be the best data to power your bidding and targeting algorithms. But if you don't have enough data for that, let's say you don't get at least 30 purchases in 30 days, that's okay. Even feeding some proxy or predictive values can be really helpful for your campaigns to drive better results. And you'll be orders of magnitude ahead of the competition who is still stuck tracking just basic conversions. Now, I know I've made it clear how important this is and how wonderful it is, but of course, there are some obstacles you might run into along the way. Setting this up on your own the first time can feel a little intimidating, but I assure you, if I can do it, you can do it. Yes, I am a Google Ads expert, but no, I am not a Google Ads conversion tracking expert. Still, I managed to set up my own WhatConverts account and connect it to Google Ads. So if I can do it, you can do it too. They also have great onboarding documentation to help you. Next, I know it can be challenging to try to incorporate another tool into your process. Like maybe you're the agency and you want to use lead tracking software, but there's no way your client is ever going to do one more software and one more login. That's okay. You can just use a platform like WhatConverts as part of your process. Your client can keep using whatever system or lack of a system they currently have, and they just need to tell you which leads were good, not so good, what they were worth, not worth. You then put it into WhatConverts. WhatConverts tells Google, campaigns get smarter, results get better, client keeps loving you, everyone wins. Or there's even this cool option that I didn't know about till recently. You can set it up so that after the lead hangs up, the person at the business stays on the line, and an automated message from WhatConverts can come on to just say, press 1 to mark this as quotable, press 2 to mark as not quotable. That's just an extra 5 seconds after every phone call. Pretty simple to implement for any kind of business. Similarly, you can set up some conditional logic to automatically mark form submissions and other kinds of leads as quotable or not, or assign values or not, based on the different fields in your form. And finally, what's the alternative? Well, you're stuck using basic conversion tracking while all of your competitors are using offline conversion tracking. That means all of their campaigns are smarter than yours, so they're all going to bid up and go after all the highest quality leads and leave you with all the leftover ones no one else wanted. You don't want that. Your client doesn't want that. Now, how much of this success can you achieve just by better optimized Google Ads, and what actually requires lead tracking software like WhatConverts? I'm going to share a real example from one of my Google Ads coaching clients. They sell a certain kind of part B2B. When we started working together, they were running search and performance max campaigns. They were tracking a lead form submission as a conversion. They were not tracking phone calls or anything else, and they were getting about 40 to 50 conversions a month. However, most of them were either spam or they were hobbyists looking to buy one part, for their hobby, and DIYers. It wasn't the kind of big business leads they needed for their business to succeed. And although I recommended lead tracking software in our first call, understandably, it took the client some time to come around. So first, we did what we could in Google Ads. We paused Performance Max because without full funnel conversion tracking data, it was not going after the right people. We narrowed down their keywords, we added in some demand gen remarketing, and we also added some audience and demographic exclusions from their search campaign. Basically, because we couldn't tell Google properly what was happening post-conversion, we had to lock down everything happening pre-conversion to narrow down the kinds of conversions we could get. Make sense? And this worked to a point. They started just tracking phone call clicks, chatbot interactions, and things from the website. They were able to scale up to get 60 to 70 conversions a month from mostly search. But again, a large portion of these leads were still just not the right fit. It was wasting the founder and his salespeople's time. They were getting frustrated with Google Ads. And I said, please implement the lead tracking software. It'll be worth the investment. We looked at a few options, decided to go with WhatConverts. They've been using WhatConverts for 3 months now, and it has made a huge difference. First of all, number of conversions went down. Yes, went down, and that is a good thing. They're now getting about 20 conversions via WhatConverts a month because they're only marking the valid forms and phone calls in WhatConverts as quotable and then telling Google Ads the conversion happened. So rather than getting something like 60 conversions a month and a lot of them being low quality and wasting time, now we're getting far fewer good quality ones. While a few leads still do come through that are not the right fit, it's barely any, which makes sense because Google Ads now knows not to optimize for those kinds of users. We also know now where the leads are coming from, which campaigns, which ad groups. It's giving us a much better picture of what's working well and what could use more budget. Now, I'll be honest, there were some hiccups. For a period, they were accidentally double counting conversions between their old systems and the new WhatConverts system. So we had to fix that, and then after going through this process, they realized they hadn't swapped out one of the phone numbers on their website. And so we had to fix that, right? It took a little bit of trial and error, but now things are in a great place. Their Google Ads are performing better than ever. And just recently, they got their biggest lead ever from a giant government agency that is the perfect fit client for them. And yes, it came through Google Ads and into WhatConverts. I shared this example to show you that yes, there are absolutely things we can do within the Google Ads interface to try to get better quality leads, but the only real solution to spam or low quality leads is implementing lead tracking software like WhatConverts and then only sending quality leads back to Google, or even better, only sending customers back to Google to optimize your ads. So whether you use WhatConverts or something else, I beseech you, please look into a lead tracking platform for your lead generation business. At a bare minimum, you want to make sure you're only sending qualified leads back to Google, and then even better, sending lead values back to Google, whether they are proxy, predictive, or purchase values. And the Mecca, sending real customer data back to Google. Full funnel offline conversion tracking is the only way you have a chance at running the best optimized Google Ads campaigns and getting the most out of your ad budget. If you have any questions at all about how to get better results from Google Ads for your lead gen business or your client's lead gen business, feel free to drop a comment. I respond to all my YouTube commenters personally. To start your free trial of WhatConverts and see why it's the lead tracking software that I recommend for my clients, check out this link. I've also included it below this video for you. And if you already knew all this information, information, but perhaps your colleague or client needs a refresher, go ahead and share this video with them. I promise they'll thank you. Now tell me, have I convinced you to start filling in your blind spots and truly optimizing your Google Ads with full funnel lead data? I sure hope so. I'm Jill Saskin-Gales, and I'll see you next time.